And welcome to the show, folks. House Party 5v5's Premier League on Saturday. I'm your host, Anson. Hope everybody enjoyed that week off we took for the July 4th holiday, but we are back into the action. SSE versus Team 7 on the board. Joining me in the caster's chairs, my good friends Dave and Deck.
What's going on?
Hey, guys.
Shaping up to be an exciting match. I'm happy to be back in the chair after that little brief vacation.
So, already we're seeing the nice targeted ban towards SW. He last time had a really strong Talon game. He's been showing a lot of practice recently playing Talon, and he's actually mentioned to me that Talon is in a really good spot right now, and that he would like to have more opportunities to kind of show that off. But obviously, Stratosphere doesn't want that to happen, so the first ban immediately targeted to SW.
Not a surprise there.
Yeah, I always like seeing target bans, especially against people like SW, where, I mean, everyone knew his talent was...
Actually, another ban that I can talk about here is the Kalista ban. So,
yeah.
Right now, Team 7 is actually playing with two new players. They have Optic Waffles is their top laner, and Optic Pancakes is their AD carry. And Optic Pancakes actually has a lot of games in solo queue as Kalista, with an average KD of about 4.55 and a 77% win rate. So they probably saw that's probably not a good thing to let him have.
Yeah, when you're packing stats like that, it's you definitely make that champion a target. That's why sometimes you see people practicing champions on different accounts, don't want to get scouted and everything, and practicing their strategies as far away from prying eyes as possible. And we're seeing the Sivir get locked in, pick one for Jack.
And they did have a lot of good practice on Jack. He has played Sivir quite a bit, at least in a couple of the practice games that I've seen. I'm kind of surprised because his recent, 20 or so games, he has had a whole bunch of Tristana games. And I guess that was just he was trying out to see how it worked. Maybe he didn't want to first pick it, and he didn't want them to have the Sivir, because Optic Pancakes may actually be good on Sivir. So it's always kind of hard with a wild card. You don't want to give them something that they might be able to play with. And Team 7 has shown that they can actually kind of work with the Sivir comp if they need to. Seeing a quick Rise Morgana.
And that's the thing about picking Sivir first. Is it going to be a Sivir comp? Well, yeah, it is. So you telegraph that to the other side. Of course, the advantage is if the other side is known for going Sivir comps as well, when you first pick that out of the gate, you take that strategy away from them.
That's kind of how I feel the Morgana pick is, because Morgana is very strong, just in general, but Mycroft tends to actually favor more of the tanky supports. He usually plays like Leona, he plays Thresh. So, but last time, Sea Salt Choco played a fantastic Morgana game. So it might be that Mycroft might be a little bit comfortable on Morgana, but they don't want Sea Salt to be able to get that.
Yeah, his Morgana was actually really... I actually enjoyed watching his Morgana from last game, especially with Morgana.
He missed single-digit bindings the entire game.
It was pretty phenomenal, and one of the big things about it was the fact that he played Morgana in a meta where Morgana is really more of a solo queue champ, not really competitive play. Not as strong as she used to be. Late season 4, early season 5. Whereas right now it's all about the tank meta and the support. So the fact that he was able to pick up Morgana and just continue hitting bindings left and right was really strong for him. But
and another thing I want to mention here with the Sivir, when you turn on the Morgana ultimate, that kind of acts as a that tells the other team, okay, we need to get away right now. And when On the Hunt is already turned on and you're rushing toward the enemy team, what choice do you have? Commit to getting soul shackled, or commit to losing the Sivir ultimate until the next time it's up and we're ready to engage.
Which is, definitely one of the reasons why I think Morgana is actually a good pick here. But I do want to point out the Ezreal mid AP, probably an Ezreal AP mid, which we've seen many times, at least in LCS, LCK. I think even LMS was playing it a little bit. I mean, almost every region's realized the strength of the AP Ezreal mid lane, which I'm still. I don't know. I'm still not a big fan of it. I think it's good, but
I'll have more to say on that later as the game is going. But I was very skeptical of supporting it at first, but now after considering the advantages and disadvantages of it, I'm okay with it. And it's at least less toxic than standard AP Ezreal was, because standard AP Ezreal's harass, you couldn't dodge it. It would just go straight over the minion line. Yeah, he had no wave clear, but it didn't matter. He could harass you through the minion line.
Yeah, which is awful. I still think Ezreal's just not a fun champion. And I also have to note that this is SW playing Ezreal mid, and SW is known as his assassins. I mean, you can kind of say Ezreal mid, at least late game, is all about the assassins, but I guess we were completely wrong about the Ezreal mid, and that's actually a Jace mid. So, very good bait and switch right there, which I'm... just throw that argument out the window.
Was it intentional? Like, was it a situation where Pancakes had actually played a decent amount of Ezreal and was like, yeah, sure, we'll bait it out, they'll probably think we're doing mid. I don't think that actually affected the picks at all, though, because Dennis actually loves playing Victor. Like, he played a fantastic Victor game last time. So, I don't know if that bait actually worked out for them, but either way, he probably wanted to play that against the Sivir.
Yeah, and I mean, still throws me off. And now they're just doing the good old switching back and forth to Jace support, or Jace ADC, Ezreal ADC, but nonetheless...
That is true, though. He could play Jace ADC.
No,
it could happen.
It's not going to happen. It's going to be Jace mid, which SW is known to play his AD assassins, and yeah, Jace isn't really an AD assassin, but Jace is definitely an AD mid laner that has a lot of
I would say he is an AD assassin in the same way that Nidalee is an AP assassin.
Yeah, I don't understand that AP assassin. Nidalee, she throws a spear, she jumps on you, does a lot of damage, and then she backs off. Yeah, I guess so. But either way, Jace back into play, which I'm actually really excited to see, because I love watching Jace, and I think Jace, he's also been played a lot over in Korea and over in China as well, which I love watching. That's mostly due to the mid laners enjoying playing Jace more than anything, but at the same time, it's kind of a mixture of both. But nonetheless, interesting to see Jace being pulled out. Jace Rise, I mean, that's such an old combo, right? You just continue, I don't know, I just think it's hilarious. So that's just, everyone knows the Jace Rise, where it's just heavy, not really poke, but
well, it is heavy poke, though.
Poke, yeah.
Like,
and this is
Jace
the new
poke,
Rise kit, too.
Jace poke, before it got changed up a little bit, was terrifying, because he could chunk easily, once he gets to mid-game, he could chunk almost half your health in one ball.
Yeah.
And you could never see it coming. Because, okay, so the thing what we tell people is, look out for the gate. When he throws down the gate, watch out for a shock blast combo, but that doesn't work, though, because the higher tier players fire the shock blast before they actually drop the gate.
So basically what we're looking at from the other side here is an engaged composition versus a poke composition. Would you guys agree that's pretty much what we're looking at?
It's kind of, yeah, like, Team 7 has this poke/skirmish comp kind of going for them, where they want to take advantage of the mid-range power of Ezreal and Jace and Ryze, and they have the initiation power of having the Gragas, of catching a Morgana bind, maybe.
Yeah, catch somebody out and eliminate them. In the meantime, if you're being pushed down and you have to be defensive, they've got a lot that they can throw out. The Morgana bindings, the shock blasts, and not to mention everything Ezreal brings to the table. Gragas, great poke champion. And another thing, his disengage is, I consider to be the best in the game. So it's like Team 7 have just stacked their whole composition around defeating the hyper engage of the Sivir on the hunt, plus everything else SSE is going to be bringing to the table. Well, it does look like we are running into our loading screen, guys. Caster's going to take a short break, but we'll be back with all the action as soon as we hit the rift. Stick around. More to come.
Alright, welcome everybody to week 3 of House Party 5v5 Premier League. Game 1 of the night. We have a long night going of 5 games. Of course, this one is Stratosphere versus Team 7. With me I have my good friend Deck Club Ace. And of course I'm going to say everyone knows you by Deck, because everyone does know you by Deck.
Hey guys. Already, right off the bat, this is probably the game hype for me. We're already seeing all kinds of stuff happening. There's this nice big group invade. They're heading down. There's no wards. And I want to see what SW's team ends up doing with these 2 new players. Because I had no idea who Optic Waffles was or Optic Pancakes was whenever I saw them on the list. I was just like, what am I supposed to do? They haven't even played any games together. We don't have any data on them.
And it looks like we might get a slight catch out here. Let's see what happens. And here it is. I don't even want to say anything, but oh, what, like a 4-man, 5-man knockup for both teams? No one has died just yet. Let's see what happens. Batman Real is getting super low, has to flash out there. Everyone flashing left and right. First blood actually going over to Dennis the Menace. And they're trying to get the kills, but Jack X2 is able to get another kill under his belt as well. And I don't even know what happened. All I know is that just both 5 people just run right into each other, just expecting something crazy to go down. And
so a quick primer of what just actually happened. Dennis actually started with his gravity field first. So the moment they started the engage, gravity field just got dropped. So you saw Choco flayed them into the field, so they all got stunned. Followed by Maokai Arcane smashing, just Sivir throwing out a boomerang, all kinds of AoE damage hitting everything, and then, unfortunately, there was a lot of return, but a lot of it was kind of single target damage. So they didn't actually get anybody because everybody that was being focused kind of flashed out and was safe.
Yeah, and also keep in mind there is that that invade is probably the most common invade for SW's team. They actually call it the SW invade. Only reason why I know that's because I played rank 5s with them, and I remember they're like, alright, this is the SW invade, let's go. And then they go in with the invade going that exact route. So I feel like that might be something that they've been pulling off in scrims, and everyone just kind of realized that. And I mean, you could tell a Stratosphere knew exactly what was happening there. And
yeah, we're going to see a lot of early harassing, though, now. I think that even though Dennis got first blood, I think that still put him behind because he started Gravity Field, so he's already taken a lot of, like, super easy harass from SW.
Yeah.
that he normally wouldn't have to deal with because he's Victor. He can trade really well, but all he has on him right now is an amp tone, which is good, but it's not enough to evade that harass.
Yeah, and in reality, he really can't do anything till level 3. Level 4 at the absolute latest, just due to the fact that usually you don't really put a point in your gravity field till around that time. I mean, sometimes you do a little bit earlier, but having 2 points in laser is definitely a little bit more beneficial than a point in all of your spells. And Optic Waffles actually going pretty hard on Pangold in the top lane. Pangold just fighting it out. Both of them are taking a lot of damage, and I think Optic Waffles kind of realized you can't really out-trade a Maokai at level 3, even if you're Rise.
I think he almost did kind of out-trade, though, because...
But,
oh, well...
There is Batman and Drills in the gank. But at the same time, there's a
gank.
slight engage happening on the bot side. Both junglers on the top side. I do want to take a note of that. Gragas is kind of waiting in the fray for the gank coming out. But Hook Rat to Mycroft doesn't really do anything in the bot side. Dennis
I would almost say that Optic
damage.
Waffles won that trade simply because he forced Pangold to use a potion, and Optic Waffles has more potions because he started the Flash pot start. So,
yeah.
Getting one potion from your opponent, as long as you're using 1 or 2 charges of your flask, is totally worth it. Especially on something like Rise, where you're really early game, you're just trying to farm. You want to get those early items to get your stuff rolling.
Yeah, I think that's something to keep note of. But either way, both junglers, I like the fact that both junglers were able to react super quickly in the top side of the map. They both were able to just show up almost immediately. And in this bot lane, I gotta give a little credit to Jack. He got that one of the first kills of the game, and Lily is doing Sivir things and just pushing in the lane as hard as he can over and over and over again, forcing this Ezreal to farm under a tower, which is something, I mean, is not too difficult for an Ezreal, but something you prefer not to do since you really don't have that good of a wave clear without having to just spam your Mystic Shot over and over and over again.
Well, the problem whenever you're playing early game Ezreal is that, sure, you can farm in the tower really easy because you have Mystic Shot, but that also costs a lot of mana, and that means that you don't have that mana to harass with. And Jack got first blood, or he didn't get first blood, he got the second kill. But he didn't go spend his gold. He's 100 gold away from being able to buy a BF sword. And Ezreal's only maybe 400-ish gold behind him, as they're keeping pretty good on farm. I almost say Optic Pancake is doing fantastic despite the fact that they had about a half of a level deficit.
Yeah, and I think that's something to keep in mind here is that even though, I mean, I was about to just bring out the fact that Ezreal is still keeping up and tracking. It was actually pretty interesting because Jack actually started the Krugs at the level 1 and took like a lot of damage, and I don't think Mycroft or Pancakes took the fact that took control of the lane when they knew Jack came to lane with like 75% HP, and I mean, granted he took first blood, but that's all about it. And Optic Waffles, it's really hard to figure out which one's which, but I mean, I gotta look to the side just for a second, and there it is. That's a kill going over to Optic Waffles, taking control of that lane already against Pangold.
Yeah, that was Pangold not respecting how much damage the Rise can do. Optic Waffles went back and bought a tier, and just already started getting some extra damage out. Meanwhile, Pangold hadn't actually spent his gold yet. He hadn't gotten his Spectre's Cowl that he only just now bought, and he just assumed that I'll be safe, but he wasn't. He totally took a little bit... He might not have even assumed he was safe. He might have thought that he was in danger, but he might have thought he could survive long enough to get away.
Yeah, I think that's what he was thinking. He was like, oh yeah, I could just foul this. But I mean, even then, Rise's W cooldown is just super low, and I mean, that's probably the bigger factor here is he was just able to sit on Pangold for the whole 3 seconds it took him to actually pick him off from what level he was.
Now, one thing about playing the Thresh versus Morgana lane is that unless the Thresh is maxing his death sentence, the Morgana shield has a lower cooldown.
Yeah.
And Mycroft has put 2 points into it, so the cooldown is almost the same. So at any point, Seesaw Choco lands a death sentence. Every time the hook has gone out, Mycroft just instantly drops it on top of it. Every time, Black Shield on my AD carry, I want to keep him safe.
Yeah, it looks like Batman is real is just playing super aggressive, actually taking, he wanted to drop the ward, but didn't realize that there was a pink ward there and able to get out, but he's actually going to go back to his jungle. Originally, he was thinking about, being a nuisance in the enemy jungle as being Rek'Sai, but he is against a Gragas, so it's kind of hard to do, but he decided to just walk away, because
that's probably for the best. Doesn't have a whole lot of defensive stuff right now, and if at any point, Gragas is level 6, and he wasn't level 6 yet, so it is entirely possible that he would have lost the fight really fast.
Yeah. Dennis trying to protect his ward against the enemy team. Was not able to do so. Gragas able just to belly slam it and take, do what he can. A lot of just poking and trying to control the map, and I feel like this is going to be a big thing that's going to happen is Rek'Sai and Gragas are really going to, one way going to take control of the map and one way or another. It's either going to be...
the early game here, a whole lot of this is Gragas isn't here, because the whole comp is built around kind of poking. Gragas isn't here to get any sick ganks off or anything like that. Gragas is here to follow Rek'Sai around and make sure that Rek'Sai can't do anything.
Yeah, and that's kind of what he's been doing. As you can see, I've always, every time I look at the map, I see Rek'Sai on his side of the jungle and Gragas on basically the opposite side of the jungle from him, and try to keep a close distance, but...
He's just keeping that close mirror, that's all.
Yeah, and it's pretty. He's been doing really well on it as well, because you gotta keep in mind that they have no wards in the jungle, so the fact that he's able to just, I think he's on the top side. I'm gonna sit on the top side of the map, and hope maybe I'll be able to get a good counter gank off, and he's doing it really well. And Rek'Sai is really, I think, having a little bit of trouble with ganking any of these lanes. Top lane is a little bit too more of a. It's still a little bit too hostile for him to really gank. I feel like if he goes up there, this Ryze might be able to 1v2. It's definitely possible, so he's just trying to avoid that side of the map. Bot side is always being pushed in, and actually at this moment they're letting it get pushed in, so they're really looking for a gank. And mid lane both mid laners kind of been backing off randomly, but Batman and Reels actually get caught out. Binding hits him right on top of it. The Lantern's over the wall. They're trying to do it, but the Grog is able to stop him in his tracks. And that has a kill going over to Optic Pancakes. A little bit too far in the enemy jungle, I feel.
I think he got a little bit too overconfident. He's like, oh yeah, we got a Thresh. We'll be safe. I've got Thresh Lantern. I've got my tunnels. I'll be totally safe. And then he forgot, oh, Morgana binding. So he took a bunch of damage while bound, and then he can't get to it because Gragas knocks him away from it.
Yeah, and it looks like they're actually trying to steal this. Batman's Real is actually ulting into getting onto Dragon. Stratosphere is here. They're trying to do as much as they can. The Sivir ult is activated. The Ezreal ult coming out, and Morgana stopping a lot of the damage coming through. The Chaos Storm right on top of Optic Pancakes, but Dennis just falls over to the damage coming out from Ryze, and they're really trying to trace him up. The lockdown coming out from the Twisted Advance from Maokai is able to secure the kill, and I don't think they're going to want to do a Dragon. Yeah, they're just going to walk away.
They should not do this Dragon.
Yeah, they just kind of want to continue getting poke off. SW is pretty low. Everyone's really at a low standpoint right here, and Seasalt Choco needs to be very careful. That red buff on Ezreal. One more Mystic shot, and he was down.
Overall, it was a pretty well
and the sapling.
played.
Touchdown sapling. I mean, if only he was playing the Maokai, the goalkeeper skinned,
Get the big goals.
Right?
I was gonna say that wasn't actually a bad trade overall because they did lose some, but also got some kills onto Ryze, and once Ryze gets a couple of kills, he can just kind of become this killable machine that just pumps out damage.
Right, and he already has his catalyst with Blast Iguana. On top of that, he has about 500, almost 600 gold, and he only needs about 200 more gold, and he can. So basically, in the next 3 waves, he'll back get his Rod of Ages, 12-minute Rod of Ages tier, probably boots if he continues to farm as well as he has so far, and that is already a fed Ryze to the top side of the map.
I mean, when he finishes this wave, he could just go back and get it, and then his teleport isn't up yet, but Maokai isn't here yet, so Maokai's probably not going to push the lane up to the tower yet. Yeah, okay, so he's probably going to back right now.
Yep, smart decision from him. And Maokai is in the lane, so he's going to try and push up the tower. He also doesn't know that Rise just back, so he needs to be very careful on the top side of the map.
He definitely has reason to suspect that Rise is going to either back, or that Rise is currently back farming the Krug, because he himself was just now doing the Grom, so it would make sense that they would trade that.
Right? And Jack X2, I don't think he has played anything other than Sivir this entire season. Almost every game he's played Sivir, which is not a bad thing. I think there was one game where he didn't play, but
did he play Draven one game?
Yeah,
no,
that was someone else that played Draven.
Or no, he played Caitlyn.
Yeah, he played Caitlyn one game, but I mean, other than that, he's played Sivir almost every game. So the fact they were able to, pick up that Sivir in a comp where they want that aggression, and SW, Batman's real. Getting some damage down and walking away. Smith wasn't just close enough just yet to really do anything.
Not sure I understand. I guess that currently Optic Pancakes is trying to build his tier 2 boots.
Yeah, I was wondering what the dagger was for. He has like a tier, a BF sword, a dagger, and then boots. And I'm like, okay. I mean, you basically build anything on Ezreal, but that doesn't mean you should build anything and everything on Ezreal.
I mean, before I was saying that, I was going to say that Jack, even though Jack had the advantage, he didn't use his back properly, because he backed at the same time that Pancakes was able to buy a BF sword. So they both came back with a BF sword and a Dorn's Blade and pots. So there was no real advantage. But now, Jack bought the other pieces to the IE. Meanwhile, Pancakes bought some other random pieces, I guess.
Yeah, and I mean, like, I understand why he wants to build a tier. It's a good reasoning, but I'm still confused on what the reason for the dagger is. I guess getting up tier 2 boots would be a good thing, but I mean, he lost a lot of the trading potential he has against Jack X2 in this lane, and I mean, he's 1-2, and Jack is 104, and I mean, the goal difference is, not really that much, but when you have 4 assists and a kill, you're definitely going to be able to do a little bit more. And you want to be able to keep in, I guess the word I'm looking for, you want to keep in line with the other ADC. You don't want to fall behind in any way when you're already behind, especially when you're playing Ezreal, where you rely so heavily on not being from behind. And when you are behind, all you have to do is just continue farming, and that's it. So, really didn't pick the right decision and go with the dagger. But nonetheless, like I said before, Jack X2 is just showing you how to play Sivir. And all you do is you do A, you press Q, you aim at the minion wave, you kill the entire minion wave, and then you let the lane push into the enemy tower, and that's it. But gank going on to SW in the mid lane, Batman's Real is able to come up with a tunnel from behind a Chaos and drop right on top of him, and that's a lot of damage.
You gotta be a little careful.
Yeah.
All he's got is 57 MR, and that's just not enough to survive the burst of Victor.
Yeah, you get the laser and the Chaos Storm, and then you throw in that Siphon Power, which he actually did augment his Siphon Power already this early, which I mean, it's understandable, but you do gotta keep in mind that it's a lot of. I mean, the damage itself of Siphon Power is good, but that movement speed's really strong when you want to be able to catch someone out. And that's the first dragon going over to deep Stratosphere.
Well, the Siphon Power upgrade doesn't actually increase its damage at all.
Yeah, but the movement speed helps,
especially
when you get ganked
like
you did.
Which is handy. But the Death Ray is the real burst that comes out, and it's a combination of the Death Ray and then the initial damage of the Chaos Storm, which is just a whole lot. It's an easy, like, 380, 400 damage, easy, especially whenever you don't have very much MR, and Victor already has a little bit built in from his runes.
Yeah, I was just looking at that, he does have a little bit MR, but SW just, I mean, one of the things I note is the fact that Dennis played Victor almost every game, played a 0-1 other game, I believe. So the fact that he, his Victor play has been on point almost every single game, and SW really needs to be careful with it. And Batman is Real has been a really good jungler as well for Dennis. I've seen a lot of pressure in this mid lane from almost every game so far this season. In reference to Stratosphere.
Hey, I can see where the Jace pick is actually really good for their comp. I can see how they want to work around that, but like I haven't seen SW actually play Jace very much. He may have actually played it a bit before, but this season in the practice matches, I haven't seen him actually play it that much. And
yeah.
I don't know how it works now with some of the changes to the AP itemization. Some people are able to just kind of have better options. So maybe...
Oh, it looks like a slight gank. The damage coming up from the Boomerang Blade is just enough with the minion waves, and the TP from Optic Waffles coming to try and save him. I honestly didn't think... I thought Ezreal would be able to get away there, but the minion damage is just a little bit too strong. Never underestimate
damage is
the power.
pretty strong.
Yeah, you never underestimate the power of the minions. I mean, they sacrifice themselves for your team, and you know.
Each minion does like 30 damage or something when it hits you based on your armor.
Yeah, and they're trying to do as much as they can to Optic Waffles. The TP coming out from Pangold as well as he is there, but Optic Waffles is able to get the kill onto Thresh, and that does not matter because Pangold's going to lock him down with the Twist Advance, and Jack XU is going to get a little revenge for his support player. And, you know, shutdown, or I think that was a shutdown. No, that was not.
No, it wasn't a shutdown. He only had
it was
3 kills. He didn't have a shutdown goal yet.
No, he just had 3 kills, but that is a killing spree onto Jack, so nonetheless, still gonna be good. Righteous Glory popped by Pangold, trying to get on the SW as fast as he can, but, you know, good old Mercury Cannon switch, enough to save him from that.
It looks like Pancakes went for the early Manamune, trying to get that to stack faster. I don't know if that's the correct option here. He is trying to trade a couple of power spikes. He is not going for a Triforce, which means he's not going to get that mid-game power spike. He got his tier later than SW, so he won't have his up by the time SW's is up. So
Yeah.
they won't be able to share their power spikes.
And Batman's Real is just being what Rek'Sai is, trying to take control of the jungle, but does not matter. They're actually able to lock him up. But Dennis the Menace is here as well, actually getting the Chaos on right on top of 2 people with the gravity field right in the middle. Panko trying to dive onto the back line, able to pick up a kill onto the Rise. High Levy Jungle, body slamming his way to freedom. The sniper is not enough damage coming out from the Rek'Sai. Almost enough.
You might do a lot, but your tank Rek'Sai, you don't actually have very much damage yet.
Jack X2 in kind of a sticky situation here. Exhaust coming out, flashing the ultimate coming out from Mycroft, trying to do as much damage as he can. Optical Pancakes is able to arcane shift out of the damage and pick up a kill for him. He's now 2-3-1.
For a huge shutdown, too.
Yeah, and I was going to say, that was on top of a shutdown. So definitely picked up back in gold difference between the two. He is down still over 1,000 gold. So, I mean, he is still down, but... You know, being able to pick up a shutdown onto a Fed AD carry without even trading a kilo, nonetheless, really trading anything back is pretty really beneficial.
Did use to keep that in place. Mycroft did have to use his ult. He did have to flash. He did have to use exhaust.
But gank onto the mid lane, Batman's Real is here as well as Pangold, trying to dive underneath the tower, trying to mitigate as much damage as he can, but you know. SW able to get out of that, having to blow his flash and barrier to save himself, by the way. So he is down both the summoners.
Yeah, he wanted to just use the barrier and just kind of walk towards his tower and be safe, but when Rek'Sai showed up, he realized, I have to flash. Rek'Sai is right here. If he gets close to me, I'm dead.
Right, and I mean, that's a big factor here, but Jack X2, his support's back in the lane with them. You know, I keep on seeing Thresh and Morgana, and I keep on thinking Mycroft is playing Thresh and Sea Salt is playing Morgana, not the other way around. It keeps on throwing me off a little bit, just for the fact that I would prefer seeing Sea Salt play on the Morgana.
Like, Sea Salt tends to go for more, like, utility mages, so
Yeah.
it's kind of weird seeing him play, like, the tanky Thresh style play. And it's the complete opposite for Mycroft, because Mycroft, we've seen him play Thresh, we've seen him play Leona. I think we might have seen him play Nautilus at some point in one of his practice games, and he really doesn't play the mage supports all that much.
He used to play mage supports before, but recently he switched more to the more meta supports, like you said, Alistar, Thresh, Nautilus, and I mean, he's been playing well. I mean, I know he's been playing Thresh for a while, so it's still nice to see him play utility mages, and I mean, nonetheless, doing pretty well.
He's been doing well. He's 0-1-3. He's gotten a lot of really good bindings off, especially on a Sivir lane where Sivir can spell shield the bindings. He'll bait out the bindings with one of Ezreal's abilities. So Ezreal will throw something just for damage or something, and the binding will come out. And the Ezreal Q goes faster than the binding does.
Yeah, so you just bait the spell shield, which is a pretty smart decision. I think both teams are starting to set up for Dragon. Gragas is already there. Panko trying to lock him up. Actually gets a twist advance as well as the Righteous Glory to slow him down as much as they can. Barrel coming out from Gragas trying to stop as much damage as he can coming out from both of these members. But Mycroft and Pancakes are here as well. Dennis and Menace is able to show up. Let's see, the Boomerang is able to get the kill. The heal coming out, but not enough to save his teammate. And Stratosphere picking up another kill, and this is actually going to be a free dragon going over to the Stratosphere, the second one of the game as well.
I like Team 7's call here. They see our jungler's dead. We are outnumbered. All 5 players are here. So we know generally when dragon is going down. We're just going to stay back, and we're just going to get a tower. Optic Waffles got a free tower, went, did the right thing, he got the blue, and Stratosphere hasn't gone and gotten their blue. So they did lose the dragon, but they didn't lose it for free. They actually got some stuff for it.
Yeah, being able to get that top tower is going to give a little bit more free range for this Rise. Granted, he does not have his tower, so he needs to be really careful trying to pick up anything. Jace is actually up in CS by a significant amount, almost 40 CS up onto Dennis. So the fact that Dennis has been roaming and getting kills and assists here and there, it really hasn't mattered for SW because SW's 0-1-0, where I believe his first death was in lane from the gank from Rek'Sai, but the gold difference is really almost non-existent. It's about 400, 500 gold, but that gold alone is just from the assist coming out from Dennis, and just like I would say the towers as well.
Well, yeah, keep in mind he's gotten an extra like 300 gold from towers because he was at both of the towers being destroyed, and he also first blood, so he had an extra 100 gold from his first kill.
Yeah.
So overall, he's actually not really that far ahead because once they get those towers down, it'll kind of even out.
I think that's definitely a big thing to keep a note in here. But I mean, once again, I'm going to bring it up. What is Ezreal building? He has
he's got a BF sword. He's got a Sheen. Assume that Ruby Crystal is going into a fade, so maybe he's going for a Triforce. But at this point, he won't finish his Triforce until 30 minutes, 35 minutes. Depending upon
he just
how
has
the fights
a
go.
casual BF sword. Like, I mean, I understand the casual.
I guess he wants to build it into a Bloodthirster. Is what he wants it to be.
Sooner or later, he's gonna build it into Bloodthirster. If that's the case, Team 7 really needs. They need to play smart. They need to just. They just need to let Ezreal farm. If that's the case, they need him to.
It's unfortunate because
stage
at this point, SW has his Manamune turned into Muramana. He wants to be fighting because he has this massive power spike that just appeared, but he can't.
It's mostly due to his team not being able to really do anything off of it. Ezreal just being a real, I want to say holding his
Rise
back,
too.
but
Rise his Saracen Embrace.
They
Ezreal.
both their tiers items are fully stacked. But except for the ADC, who, like I said before, just doesn't have the right items to really fight, and I think that's just going to turn into the fact that they need to be careful here. They might want to, I mean, they can easily poke them out, but they do not want to have any big team fights at all, probably for the next 10 minutes, which is a pretty long time. especially when you're playing, when you are, like you said before, hit those power spikes of Rod, Service, Embrace, Rise, top lane. You had the Man Immune, Last Whisper build for SW. I mean, that's a huge power spike. You basically can 100-0 almost anyone on an enemy team if correctly, and then.
This is the time where Team 7 wants to be fighting. They've got a fully stacked Rise. He just built an Abyssal Scepter. He's got his Seraph's Embrace. Like, everything is stacked except on Ezreal.
But nonetheless, they're playing it correctly.
They're playing safe.
They're playing safe. They just want to farm. That's all they're doing. But Batman Israel is going on top of Pancakes. He actually blues his Righteous Glory, able to get right on top of him. He might be able to solo him, but he decides, oh, I'm just gonna back off, go back to pushing the wave, and forces Ezreal low HP underneath the tower.
Ezreal staying is a little bit dangerous.
Yeah.
Batman Israel is pretty tanky. He could easily hold that tower. Yeah,
but Mycroft is here as well. Batman Israel going in, Arcane Shift just enough to save him. The exhaust coming out right on top of him. The Soul Shackles not able enough to lock him up. Mycroft flashing just a second too late. Jack XC is showing up, and I think they know. They definitely want to get out here. Pango actually flashing in just right on top of Optic. Pancakes, but does not matter. He gets binded by Mycroft, and that is just enough to save him. And Ezreal has not died, but the rest of the team, from both teams, is here. And oof, you laser damage to Mycroft. That was a lot.
Talk about some mystic shots. He's barely lived not one, but 2 engages, both from Rek'Sai and from Maokai.
Yeah, it was the fact that Gold came in and flashed over the wall,
used everything,
and
like teleport,
Mycroft
flashed over a wall, Righteous Glory, dive under the tower, and then nope, Morgana's here. You can't have my Ezreal.
And the funny thing is that Croft just threw like probably one of the best bindings. He just turned out through it, locked up Maokai, Ezreal got away, and Pangold was just kind of standing there like, oh well, crap, what do I do now? And then he decided just to back off, which was the smart decision. No reason to chase an Ezreal. He can probably get his Mystic or his Arcane Shift up in the next like 5 seconds, if need be.
And look down at bot lane. They're shoving in the tower. They're all prepping for Dragon because Dragon spawns really soon, and they have the advantage right now. They have good vision in the area. The lanes are all pushed. Top has a small amount coming, but it's slowly going to start building more and more. And there's no objectives for Stratosphere to get. They need to defend this Dragon attempt.
Which is something they might be doing. The Scuttlecrab just dropped for Team 7, so they need to be careful. They don't really have that. Well, I guess they do have a good amount of wards. Actually, no, they don't. They have one behind the back. So behind it. And Ezreal back throws the Mystic or True Shot Barrage just enough. High Levy Juggle trying to buy something over the wall. The Bright Score right on top of them. But Pangold taking a lot of damage. You need to be very careful here. The Sivir ult is popped. The Chaos are right on top of 3 people. SW taking a lot of damage. Jack X is trying to do as much AoE damage as he can. Dennis is right there as well. And that is a double kill going over to Rise. Rise actually falls down. SW right in the middle of the fight. Let's see if he's able to clean up the fight with Ezreal back in the fray. And that is it. That is the ace going over the Team 7. Whew.
So I just want to talk about that insane little fight right now, because Mycroft dove directly in the middle of 2 people and dropped his ult, and then just immediately Zonya's because he's like, haha, you guys are stuck in the middle of my team because you just used all your initiates to get in. And Ryze is just allowed to pummel him constantly with a spell chain. So Optic Pancakes gets in right near the end, and when he gets there, everybody's all buttered up for him just to get to spam his Q and get tons of damage out, because guess what? He just finished his Triforce at about 30 minutes, so suddenly he's got this really strong power spike to play with.
I like the fact that he has Fear Buttes too, so the fact that he was able to just go in and continue, I mean, that's like the ultimate kite build. All he needs left is an Iceborne Gauntlet, and I don't think anyone's going to be able to get on top of him, even a Maokai. But nonetheless, I mean, that was perfect. I mean, as you go back to it, we were kind of questioning at first, like, oh, this is going to give the Dragon over to Stratosphere, and out of nowhere he like gets there as quickly as possible, and they're able to actually secure, or they didn't secure the dragon, they secured the fight, and were able to turn that around. Really, I mean,
They did end up trading
impressively
3 kills for 5. They lost the dragon, but they evened out the gold lead a little bit.
Yeah. Optic Waffles having to blow his ultimate just to get away from the 4 members of Stratosphere sitting in the river.
Well, unlike previously, before Rise's kind of rework champion update sort of thing, popping his ultimate to get away isn't as bad anymore. It has like a 30-second cooldown. Right now it's at a 26-second cooldown. So,
and it's up again.
and it's up again.
Right? Which is, I mean, perfectly fine. But
oh boy.
Chase is happening here. High Lemmy Jungle is right in the fray. Gets hooked by Sea Salt, but they are able to get a slight poke off. They're able to catch off Dennis. Might actually get secure the kill. Actually, but secures the kill. The fight is start. Mycroft right in the middle of it. Jack sees spell shield, but actually does not spell shield it due to the body slam coming in from Gragas. And that's a lot of damage coming out from the entire team. Double kill go over to Gragas, and a triple kill going over to SW. And that's another ace for Team 7, which is because of the hectic fight.
Super good team fight. Another situation. Mycroft dives right in. As soon as High Lemmy Jungle gets caught, it's just like, okay, I'm just gonna ult and get somebody stuck. Dennis thinks he's kinda safe, but no. He gets Rise snared immediately. Just sudden Morgana ult in the middle of the enemy team, and there's nothing they can do about it because they're being initiated on. It was beautiful. It's a symphony of destruction. I love it.
The one thing they keep note there is that Jack X2 actually tried to spell shield the Morgana ultimate, the last tick of it, and High Lemmy Jungle actually got on the other side of the fight and flash. I believe he flash body slammed right onto Jack X2 to pop the spell shield, so he was able to get stunned up, and Rise was able to take advantage of that, and I think that was one of the bigger reasons why they won that fight. Now, on top of that, the Gragas barrel, it didn't knock Dennis away or anything. It knocked him right against the wall to lead into that perfect snare coming out from Rise. So, I mean, we could talk about the Rise damage all we want, but the fact is that High Lemmy Jungle played that fight almost perfectly, locking up both the carries and, like, you know, playing Gragas like you should be playing Gragas.
Probably only the real misplay that could happen wasn't even something that was his fault. He body slammed, and his body slam damage was interrupted. His body slam knockup was interrupted by a really good flay by Sea Salt and by a really good death sentence that came out.
But I mean, that doesn't matter when he was just trying to get in the middle of the fight for the gauge. And Optic Pancake actually get hooked to Sea Salt, but Arcane Shift right across the wall. Doesn't really matter. They are really wanting this bot tower, and that is 2 towers going over to Team 7. And the gold lead has completely switched from Stratosphere over to Team 7. Almost a 4K gold lead in the hands of Team 7 now.
Oh, I am totally blown away. Huge turnaround as soon as the Triforce came out. As soon as they started actually getting these team fights going, they have such a strong team fighting comp with all of their poke and all of their quick bursts that they can do between Jace combos and between Rise combos and between Ezreal combos. It's just so much damage.
And look at the poke that's coming out. Jack XC almost a half HP just off of one Q coming out from SW. I mean, I gotta say, Jay still has it with the damage. Shock still does a ton of damage, especially when he already has a Bloodthirster. Yeah, they did buff it. What was it? A patch ago?
Patch. Like recent patch, 2 patches ago, they made it so that it has 6 ranks instead of 5 ranks, and they made it so that it scales up a little bit higher. So his poke combo is already strong. Like without a gate, it already does about 700-ish damage. But with a gate, it'll do almost 1100 damage if you don't have enough armor to block it. So you got to be really careful.
Yeah, and I think this next fight is really going to determine probably who's going to win the game, because they really want this. The hook right onto Optic Waffle is not enough, and Red Team, actually SW, Team 7, I want to call it SW because some of these members are from Shadowwalker's Flassies. But anyways, Team 7 secures the first dragon for their team, and I mean, Goldly just keeps on flipping to their side over and over and over again, and really showing, I mean, just the power of their comp. I mean, they hit their power spike, and their power spike is not falling down at all.
Yeah, I mean, like, where they are right now, their rotation positioning is great. They've got just shoved in mid. Bot lane just got counter-shoved by Rek'Sai, but it doesn't matter because top lane has this huge wave that is building towards them.
The hook right into the fight, the sort of drop right in the back line. Minecraft actually like the hourglass to stop a lot of the damage. Optic, Pancakes, and SW both on the side, just trying to do as much as they can. Batman is real hits the Prey Seeker ultimate just enough. Dennis fighting off Rise, who was, I don't know how he was in the back side of the map. Grog is taking a lot of damage. That was a double kill go over to Dennis due to the Death Ray. SW trying to do as much as he can. Actually able to do a lot of damage on the Batman is real, able to get the slow off. And let's see if he lives, and he sure does live off that fight.
Now, that's probably a little bit played too close to the tower, but it doesn't matter because both the huge AD threats were alive. So, yeah, okay. They basically trade one player down for getting one of your very, very, very valuable inhibitor turrets. And that's an open middle inhibitor, and now they have to watch out because anybody on their team can just come and get that really fast.
Right, and that's definitely the more interesting part of that fight was that, honestly, I think that fight was almost perfect for Stratosphere at the start. They were able to get really good hook off onto Optic Pancakes. I mean, Sea Salt has been having some really good accuracy. He missed a few at the start of the game, but starting to pick up where he's hit, I think, like 2 or 3 so far, and fights where they were right on top of Pancakes, and they should have been able to follow up, but just haven't been able to do so. And I mean, like I said, that was almost a perfect fight, and it just fell down to the fact that SW and Pancakes were able to get out of that fight and just sit back and just continue poking like they're really meant to. And Gragas just stood the front line.
Like, of the stuff that could happen, SW and Pancakes not dying is probably the worst thing that could have happened to them, because both of them have a whole bunch of range, both of them have a whole bunch of physical damage, and right now, they just don't have the armor to deal with that. The only one who has enough armor is Rek'Sai, and both players have a Last Whisper, both players have a Bloodthirster, both players have a Muramana at this point. So they can easily just burn through your health really fast. I mean, Batman had to run from 2 people, despite the fact that he was at the advantage in terms of health.
Yeah, that's definitely a big factor in this. That fight was I mean, SW and Pancakes. I mean, it really came down to the fact they just stood in the back line, and Gold or Batman weren't able to really get in the middle of the fight without leaving their entire team behind to just fall over to Rise. Rise died to Dennis, but didn't really matter for the remainder of that fight because you're able to just get control of 2 carries, kill one, and have the other one really low health and not in the middle of the rest of the fight. You definitely did your job.
I think that probably the only failing there for Team 7 was, I don't know where Optic Waffles was going. I guess he was trying to chase down Dennis while somebody else was tanking the tower. And he just happened to get behind the tower range and couldn't kill Dennis. But he is a huge chunk of their gold right now. He needs to be staying in the middle of the fight, blowing up as many people's Holy. Speaking of poke, that was a third of Jack's health right there. But he just needs to be standing right in the middle of the fight, because he has 3,000 gold almost over his lane opponent, Pangold.
Yeah, Pangold pops the Righteous Glory, tries to get into the middle of the fight, and actually decides to go against it. Waffles in the backline, taking a lot of damage, but it does not matter, because the rest of the team is here, and they're able to pick off Pangold. The high limit jungle is right in the backline. Pancakes flashing over the wall, able to get a double kill. SW doing as much as he can. Sea Salt Choco flashing over the wall. And Pancakes, oh man, not able to pick off Batman. And Batman just scurries back to his bat cave.
It's alright. He will... Instead, Pancakes will go for this nice, delicious inhibitor, which he'll easily be able to get by himself.
Yeah.
And we saw Optic Waffles didn't build tank. He just went straight for the backline. And yeah, he took a whole bunch of damage, but he almost instantly killed somebody.
Yeah, that was... I mean, the fact that he just, walked in 5 people, like, alright, let me kill one of you guys, and they're like, oh, well, we'll kill you. And he just did so much damage for his just to follow up. And looks like Team 7 just wants to end this game right here. I don't think anyone can really contest them in any way, because that is GG coming out from both teams. Team 7 takes off a game of Stratosphere, and there it is. One of the few teams which started off very rocky at the start. You know, they had a few roster problems, and now they're to the point where they literally, I think they have a really strong roster, and they're personally they're one of my, I think probably one of the top teams in the league, and able to take off a game of Stratosphere with a bunch of players who really had been together for, I think they're all really good friends. They've been together for a pretty long time. That's a good feat coming out from them. So nonetheless, good game coming out from Team 7 and Stratosphere. And I'm gonna